after 5 years of marriage, still no sign of a child. I refused to let my husband take a concubine, earning the infamous reputation as the most jealous woman in the capital. But no one ever knew, the one who was truly unable to have children wasn't me. For his reputation, I willingly kept this secret. But then, he met a woman skilled in medicine who cured his hidden illness and told him, Yuan has given me a great kindness. I cannot betray her. How ridiculous. All the humiliation and ridicule I endured on his behalf, was that not a kindness as well? In the end, I was demoted to a concubine, dying with resentment. In this new life, I refused to bear this blame any longer. On the second day of the new year, my husband's younger sister, Xia Yan, returned to the residence. The moment she walked through the door, her eyes went straight to my belly. Still no news from you yet? She asked, her voice cold. I lowered my head in silence. She sneered, hugging the child in her arms and mocking me, after so many years, not only can you not have children yourself, you won't let others have them either. If I'd known you'd be such a jealous, barren hen, I'd never have let my brother marry you. She shot me a sideways glance, her tone casual but her words sharp. But since we're all family, I won't make things difficult for you. Honging has served me for years, comes from a clean family, and is quite pretty. Why not let her be a concubine for Xia Qian? The maid mentioned hurried forward, kneeling to thank her. When she turned to bow to me, the mockery in her eyes was obvious. Rest assured, madam. I will bear sons and daughters for the household, so you too can finally know what it's like to be a mother. Scenes like this have played out more than once in the past 5 years. Because I had no children and refused to let Xia Qian take a concubine, I became the laughingstock of the entire capital, a jealous wife. The noble ladies outwardly admired the deep affection Xia Qian showed me, but behind my back, they joined Xia Yan in ridiculing me as a barren hen. Some even urged Xia Qian to divorce me, since he was so renowned for his talent and gentle demeanor, a rare gentleman in the capital. Yet, even if a fairy descended from heaven, Xia Qian would never leave me. Because the truth was, the one who couldn't have children was him. Looking back on my previous life, I endured everything for him, only to end up discarded, dying of illness in a cold courtyard. I looked up at Xia Yan and spoke coldly, since when did you start managing your brother's household affairs? If that's the case, perhaps I should send a few maids to your husband as well. She hadn't expected me to retaliate and immediately became angry. Lin Jingyu, don't be so shameless. 5 years and no child, you should have been divorced long ago. What kind of daughter-in-law is so unfilial, so viciously jealous? I scoffed, not backing down at all. 5 years and no child, the blame isn't mine. I've carried this burden long enough. Now, looking back, I see how naive I was, thinking I'd married the man of my dreams, filled with hope, only to discover on my wedding night that Xia Qian had a hidden illness. Seeing his forbearance and the pleading look in the princess's eyes, my heart softened. Not only did I not blame them for deceiving me, I comforted them, it's all right. Children can be adopted. As long as we love each other, we'll be like a couple destined by the heavens. A Qian hugged me tightly, whispering over and over, Ayu, I will never let you down in this life. How foolish I was not to see the truth. If Xia Qian truly loved me, how could he bear to let me suffer so much gossip? Not to mention how Xia Yan humiliated me every time she returned to the house. Just like today, her decision to force a concubine on Xia Qian was nothing new. But whenever I showed the slightest grievance, Xia Qian would grow upset and blame himself. It's my fault, I'm not a real man. Does that make you feel any better? Only then did I realize, in Xia Qian's eyes, all the humiliation I suffered was an insult to him, a burden crushing him. And I, stupidly worried about his pride, never dared shed a tear in front of him. To comfort me for keeping his secret, Xia Qian would act especially tender, painting and writing poems for me, bringing me warm pastries when he returned home. He'd look at me deeply and say, Ayu, how could you be so good to me? If things had gone on like that, maybe I would have muddled through my entire life. But fate had other plans. Later, Xia Qian met a woman named Li Yuan, whose medical skills were extraordinary. No one knew where she had learned them. She didn't care for social norms or traditional virtues. She took a liking to Xia Qian, cured him, and followed him without a title. After experiencing what it meant to be a real man, Xia Qian became utterly enchanted, even promising to make her his wife. Because Li Yuan said, "I'll never be a concubine. Love means one lifetime, one couple. With my skills, not just a household mistress, even a prince's wife is within reach." Weighing his options, Xia Qian quickly decided he wanted to cast me aside. But he couldn't let go of the Lin family's support and feared I'd reveal the truth about the past 5 years, so he kept hesitating. When the princess found out, she completely dropped her gentle facade. Then accused her of adultery, and used the years of affection as an excuse to keep her locked up in the house. That way, the Lin family can't say anything. After confirming that Xia Qian's illness was truly cured, she was so overjoyed she wept. "Heavens have finally blessed us, a grandson at last. If only we hadn't rushed to marry Lin's daughter back then. You and Li Yuan have wasted so many years. But back then, it was they who came to my family with all the ceremonial gifts to ask for my hand. After years of keeping this secret, enduring humiliation, it all became my fault in the end. A Qian was truly heartless, he chose my birthday to make his move. I had only gone to change my clothes. When I woke up, I was lying on the same bed as a strange man. My father, mother, friends, and guests, all stood at the door in shock. Father stormed in and slapped me hard. "Disgraceful daughter. There is no place in the Lin family for a shameless woman like you." Mother, tears streaming down her face, turned away, unable to bear looking at me again. My clothes were in disarray. All I could do was hug myself tightly and sob, choking on my words. "It's not true, someone drugged me." But no one believed me. Xia Qian let out a sigh, standing high above, his words falling like a decree. "We've had many years together, after all. Are you willing to become my concubine?" Back then, I was so panicked that those words felt like a lifeline. I didn't realize it was only the beginning of a nightmare. From that moment on, I was demoted to a concubine, locked away in a small courtyard of the Xia residence, sometimes with enough to eat, sometimes not, trampled on by everyone. I could never forget the stench on my body and in the bedding, the biting cold of snowy nights, the pain that cut to the bone, or the times when the servants forced my face into bowls of spoiled rice. Nor could I forget Li Yuan, who laughed every time she came to see me. "Not dead yet. You've got a strong life. Why not let me use you for my medicine experiments? Dying here would be such a waste." It was only then that I learned she'd been expelled from Medicine King Valley for her cruel nature and love of using living people as test subjects. She tortured me until living felt worse than death. Whenever I thought I was about to take my last breath, she'd save me, just so I could suffer more. As for Xia Qian, he visited only once. I begged him, for the sake of our years together, to let me die. Xia Qian replied coldly. "You're Yuan's precious test subject. I can't let anything happen to you." He completely forgot everything that came before. If I hadn't protected you these 5 years, the family would have replaced the household mistress long ago. And as for that birthday banquet, Jingyu, you should be grateful. Making Yuan happy is a blessing for you. How absurd. He hid behind me for 5 years and now expected me to thank him. I couldn't remember how long those dark days lasted. Until one day, the princess arrived with a bowl of thick black medicine in her hands. "As long as you're alive, I'll never be at ease. Lin Jingyu, when you're gone, don't blame me for being cruel. You blocked the fate between Xia Qian and Li Yuan, this is your retribution." That face, pinched in disgust, gradually merged with the one that used to cry under candlelight, promising to treat me as her own daughter. The thick, bitter medicine was forced into my mouth and nose. The naive girl who once dreamed of happiness finally reached her end. Even at the moment of death, no one knew what I had suffered. Back in this life, facing the hypocritical princess and useless husband, let those who want to bear this guilt take it. I will never do it again. Whenever Xia Yan tried to scold me, she always brought a crowd to show off her status. This time, I didn't bother to endure it. As long as the truth remained hidden, the rumors alone would drive her mad. She wanted to ask me what really happened but stammered, too afraid to hear anything more terrifying. I smiled faintly, bent down, and lifted the chin of that maid. Your looks are not bad. Pity, the heir has no luck to enjoy it. That's enough. Xia Yan shouted, breathing heavily. Don't say such things. Xia Qian. If you don't believe me, just ask. Go ahead. With that, I ignored her reaction and simply left with Bai Chui. Bai Chui, still trembling, whispered behind me. Madam, do you mean, the heir? I replied calmly. Yes. Xia Qian can't be a real man, but he let me bear the blame all these years. Bai Chui's face flushed with anger. They're horrible. In my previous life, she'd been beaten to death right after I was framed. Seeing her alive and full of spirit now, I felt a joy beyond words. Yes, for this injustice, I must go home and cry my heart out. Mother heard I'd returned and was already waiting by the door. The moment the carriage stopped, she hurried over. Why are you home so early this year? Where is the heir? Didn't he come with you? She gently held my hand, noticed the redness in my eyes, and anxiously asked. What's wrong? Did you two argue? You've always been close. If there's a misunderstanding, don't be angry. Or is it because Mother knew all the rumors I had endured for years and couldn't bear to mention them, so she suppressed her words. Feeling the warmth of her hand, my heart ached, and tears fell uncontrollably. Mother panicked and asked. What happened? Tell me everything, I'll make it right for you. It was Xia Yan, I sobbed, voice trembling. She tried to force me to let Xia Qian take a concubine again. Oh, that, Mother sighed, gently comforting me. Don't pay her any mind. It's all about the heir's bloodline. How long can you keep refusing? You can only hold out for so long. She loved me dearly and had gone to many physicians on my behalf. But the problem was never mine, and all the medicines she brought back, I had hidden away. To outsiders, I was still the woman who couldn't bear children, the one who let Xia Qian down. Seeing my silence, Bai Chui couldn't stand it any longer. She muttered quietly behind me. It's not your fault, miss. Mother, sharp-eared, glared at her. Miss. You're getting bolder by the day. It was the prince's residence that tricked us into this marriage. Bai Chui, always blunt, dropped to her knees before I could speak. Madam, you don't know, the heir can't even be a man. How can he take a concubine? How could the young miss ever get pregnant? Her words thundered through the courtyard. All sound vanished. After a moment, Mother gasped, in disbelief. The heir is impotent. At last, I broke down in sobs. Mother, I'm so tired. I'm really, really tired. It was a serious matter. Mother comforted me while sending someone to fetch Father and ordered the servants to keep quiet. Once the whole family was seated, I told everything from start to finish. Father was so angry he smashed his teacup. That family has gone too far. And you, why would you hide something so important? I raised you for all these years, only for you to be wronged after marriage. Mother trembled with rage. No wonder the princess changed so much. Turns out her son's the useless one. My daughter is a treasure, she shouldn't have to suffer this. No, I will demand justice. Mother! I sobbed, clinging to her, shaking my head. She looked at me, pain and anger mingling in her eyes. Why? Do you still care for that worthless man? Can't bear to let go. No, I shook my head, voice choked with tears. I've endured enough all those years. I only wish for a divorce as soon as possible. But why should I be the one to suffer? He enjoyed a leisurely life for 5 years while I bore all the blame. I want to stay in the prince's residence, so every day he'll remember that he's the one truly at fault. Mother's eyes reddened as she sighed. Silly girl, don't ruin your whole life for the sake of anger. I swallowed my pain and replied. I understand, Mother, don't worry. Jingyu knows her limits. Once I vented all this anger, I'll ask for a divorce. But I'll need Father's help. It wouldn't be long before Xia Qian met Li Yuan. If I made a scene and demanded a divorce now, the prince's household would just keep silent, wait for the rumors to fade, and then welcome Li Yuan into the residence, pinning all the blame on me. So, as much as I loathed the thought of staying beside Xia Qian, I had to endure it, waiting for the day his reputation would be utterly ruined. Xia Yan, realizing what she'd done, rushed to bring Xia Qian to my family's house early the next morning. Mother, using my supposed cold as an excuse, kept them for tea, then sent them away with a perfectly calm face. She said, if we're going to act, we'll make it big. The prince's household must show their stance. You's injustice can't be glossed over with a few sweet words from Xia Qian. I obediently leaned into her embrace. I'll do as you say, Mother. 3 or 4 days passed. When rumors started spreading outside that Xia Qian was about to divorce his wife, I finally left the house. At Bao Tea House, a new storyteller had recently arrived, and today he was set to tell a particularly intriguing tale. Many ladies and young misses had already reserved private rooms. By the time I arrived, the place was already crowded. Xia Yan was there, and the moment she saw me, her eyes lit up. Are you feeling better? Xia Qian has been thinking of you, asking when you'll return. The estate sent lots of gifts. I'll have Mother stew some for you tonight. Very few people knew the truth about Xia Qian's condition, which was why Xia Yan had always felt justified in acting high and mighty toward me. Now that she knew the problem lay with her own brother, she must be regretting it bitterly. The dark circles under her eyes showed that she hadn't slept well in days. It must have taken a lot for her to hold back her temper and speak so gently after facing my mother's coldness. The storyteller was about to take the stage. I pushed her hand away and replied coolly. We'll talk tomorrow. Xia Yan wanted to say more but didn't dare, muttering a few awkward words before returning to her private room. A maid followed her but didn't enter. She sneaked downstairs and out the door. Bai Chui peered out the window and whispered. She's probably gone to fetch the air. I swirled my tea, took a slow sip, and smiled faintly. Good. That's just what I want. After a flourish of drums, the storyteller finally stepped onto the stage. Today, I'll tell the story of a wealthy young lady who fell in love with a poor scholar. Lu Renren waited years for Zhao Qiao to pass the imperial exams and marry her, only to discover on their wedding night that the man she loved was actually a eunuch. After countless hardships, the two finally managed to be together, and with Zhao Qiao's promise that he would love only her in this life, Renren foolishly kept his secret. But as time passed and there were no children, outsiders didn't know the truth. Rumors began to spread, and Renren cried herself to sleep every night. The hoarse voice of the storyteller, like the trembling of strings under the moonlight, carried a sorrow that moved everyone who listened. Many ladies and young misses were in tears. Some felt the story sounded oddly familiar. Just then, Xia Qian entered the tea house, right as the storyteller reached the line. Did Zhao Qiao truly love Lu Renren, or did he love more the so-called dignity of a man? Dozens of eyes turned at once to look at Xia Qian. He was clueless, still smiling politely as he let the maid guide him upstairs. At that moment, I opened the door and came face to face with him. Xia Qian stepped forward, his voice as gentle as ever. I've come to take you home. If this had been before, I would have blushed and quietly left by his side. But now, all I could think of was the image of Xia Qian embracing Li Yuan, disgust twisting in my chest. I didn't want to talk to him. When he reached out, I dodged his hand. His expression froze, just as another part of the story echoed from below. One day, Lu Renren couldn't stand it anymore and returned to her parents' house. Zhao Qiao, terrified the secret would be exposed, went to the Lu family every day, begging to see her, but was turned away. Only when old Madame, people in both the private rooms and the main hall blinked in unison, piecing together the story and reality, Xia Qian hadn't heard the beginning, but even these brief lines said too much. His face went pale, eyes filled with terror, and any joy he'd felt moments ago was gone. In the next room, Xia Yan was thrown into panic, rushing over to drag him inside. With a bang, the door slammed shut. In the hall below, silence fell so deep you could hear a pin drop. I stood at the balcony, looking down at the stunned faces. What a fine story. Don't you all agree? Within a few short days, the truth about Xia Qian and me, about who could and couldn't have children, spread throughout the capital. Some said, surely it was Xia Qian. After all, given how fierce the princess consort had always been, if the real problem was a jealous, barren wife, would I have been protected for so long? I would have been cast aside long ago. Besides, Xia Qian was never seen visiting the pleasure districts. People once thought he was a virtuous gentleman. Now, it seemed more like he had something to hide. With me still refusing to return to the prince's residence, more and more people began to believe the truth. The rumors grew, so much so that the princess could no longer sit still. She hurried Xia Qian over to my family's house, hoping to take me back. But father and mother were ready, prepared to meet them head-on. The princess, restless with worry, sat down and looked directly at me, her voice urgent. The new year is almost over, you. Whatever anger you've been holding on to, let it go. As for Yan, I've already disciplined her. She's never known her place since she was a child, there's no need for you to hold a grudge. Fine, let's not talk about Xia Yan. Let's talk about Xia Qian. Mother set down her teacup, her gaze cold as she looked at the two across from her. When your family came to propose, the matchmaker praised the heir as outstanding and elegant, the finest of men. But that wasn't the truth, was it? The princess, quick-witted, tried to dodge the point. I wouldn't say he's the finest of men, please don't be angry. The matchmaker did exaggerate a bit. It's not just exaggeration, you hid quite a lot, didn't you? Old Madame and Xia Qian maintained their calm facade, which only made my mother angrier. After only a few words, she lost patience. She stood abruptly, pointing at them and scolding. What did my daughter do to deserve living like a widow for 5 years? You don't even care, letting Yan bully her. If not for this accidental revelation, I'd never have known what my precious girl has suffered. The story at the tea house was just a hint, but mother was direct and unflinching. A cold sweat broke out on Xia Qian's forehead, shame and anger in his eyes as he looked at me. Seeing this, mother grew even more furious. What, do you still want to blame you? It was my mistake to ever believe you were a gentleman who'd treat her well. You put all your faults onto your wife. A coward who hides behind a woman, how could you even call yourself a man? Xia Qian was so overwhelmed by her words that he could barely stand. The princess's face turned bright red, she didn't dare meet my mother's eyes. In desperation, she turned to me. You, all these years, we've made you suffer. But can't you feel how much Qian cares for you? I've always loved you as my own daughter. It was nothing but wanting Jingyu to keep bearing the blame. Mother said angrily. If it were Yan, the princess would have made a huge scene at her in-laws' house, let the whole world know, and demanded a divorce already. The princess was terrified, trembling at mother's words. If this scandal spread, not just Xia Qian but the whole prince's household would lose face. She quickly said. It's our family's fault. We'll make it up to Jingyu. Xia Qian's illness isn't incurable. We've already found a renowned physician, once he's well and Jingyu has a child, no one will dare gossip anymore. What if it can never be cured? Mother sneered. Is my daughter supposed to be insulted as a barren hen for life? No. No, of course not. The princess realized there was no avoiding a real answer today. She glanced at Xia Qian, who sat there like a ghost, and managed to say. If he truly can't be cured, we'll adopt a child from another branch, let Jingyu pretend to carry the child for 10 months, and raise it as her own. Seeing the princess offer the biggest concession possible, mother fell silent for a moment, then turned to me. You, what do you want to do? We may not be royals, but we can support our own daughter. The princess tried to say something more, but I looked straight at Xia Qian and asked. I have just one question for you today. When you heard the noble ladies mock me for being jealous and barren, what did you really think? He must have thought it was all about him, about not being a man, about his dignity being attacked. But would Xia Qian ever admit it? He couldn't meet my gaze. His voice shook. It pained me deeply. I was racked with guilt. Jingyu, I'm lucky to have a wife like you. I'll spend my life loving and protecting you. Good. I gave a cold smile. As long as you know you owe me, that's enough. Mother, it's not that I feel nothing for Xia Qian. Let him write a pledge today, promising never to betray me. You and father keep it. If he ever breaks his word, you can storm the prince's residence and bring me home. It was just a letter, so the princess breathed a sigh of relief and hurried Xia Qian to write it. Father called for pen and paper. When Xia Qian finished, he handed the letter to mother. Only then did father speak. People say breaking up a marriage is worse than tearing down a temple. But let me be clear, this physician is here for Jingyu. If it's the heir's problem, don't avoid treatment. The princess, surprised by the unexpected turn, didn't care that Xia Qian's pride was being trampled yet again. She quickly asked. Who is it? Anyone chosen by Lin must be a famous physician. Father stroked his beard and answered slowly. A disciple of medicine King Valley, Li Yuan. In this life, I seized the opportunity and asked father to send people to search at the farm outside the city. Sure enough, they found Li Yuan. Having been expelled from Medicine King Valley, how could she not bear a grudge? The valley never cared for fame or gain, and it forbade treating royalty. In my last life, the princess didn't believe this, but even after searching the mountain, she never found anyone and had to give up. After being expelled, Li Yuan made a name for herself in the capital, deliberately defying her old sect, hoping to rise above others. So, when father's men revealed who sent them, she immediately agreed to treat me. But this time, the patient was Xia Qian, making her all the more intrigued. Unable to be a man, this was the perfect chance for her to make her name. While the truth wasn't clear yet, Xia Qian and I returned to the prince's residence, quelling most of the rumors. If it turned out Xia Qian truly couldn't have children, how could I ever bear the ridicule and humiliation? Li Yuan came back with us, arranged to stay in a small courtyard near Xia Qian for convenience during treatment. Xia Qian, fearing I'd make another scene, was both ashamed and furious but could only grit his teeth and endure. Watching him like that, I found I could eat 2 extra bowls of rice every meal. Aside from me, the princess was also very invested. Every few days, she'd come asking about the progress. They say grown children avoid their parents, but the princess would even ask about the most private details, wounding Xia Qian's pride even further. So one day, when Li Yuan eagerly finished preparing a new medicine and asked Xia Qian to take off his trousers for examination, he finally snapped and shoved her away. Can you really cure me or not? Why is this taking so long? You're just a quack, using my case to seek fame. In my past life, they'd met in a dramatic rescue and Li Yuan had a good impression of Xia Qian, so the treatment went smoothly. But this time, with me right in the middle, and after Li Yuan heard a few rumors, her view of Xia Qian had completely changed. She openly despised his habit of hiding behind women, and during the treatment she even teased him on purpose from time to time. But I had to admit, she was truly skilled. After Xia Qian lashed out at her, Li Yuan couldn't hold back either. She retorted coldly. Humph, you're just a petty man who likes to vent his anger on others. Now you finally know what it feels like, don't you? When your wife was slandered and humiliated, where was all this fire? You lied to protect your own reputation, wasn't that all you? Get out. I don't need your treatment anymore. Struck right in the heart again, Xia Qian, furious, swept all of Li Yuan's medicine off the table and onto the floor. How I handle my affairs is none of your business. Fine. Li Yuan sneered. Then let me say this, in this world, only I can cure you. I'll wait and see how you come crawling back. By the time the princess and I arrived, Li Yuan had already left. Xia Qian locked himself in his room, refusing to come out no matter how anyone pleaded. I tugged at the princess's sleeve and said calmly, "The most important thing now is to find physician Li. People from Medicine King Valley are eccentric, but Li Yuan's tireless effort for the prince's household is clear for all to see." Today, the heir truly crossed the line. When hope is so hard to come by, all those so-called notions of dignity and pride have to be set aside. The princess, hearing this, stopped caring about Xia Qian's feelings entirely. "You're right. We must find her at once." A servant reported that after leaving the residence, Li Yuan had gone south of the city. That district was known for its entertainment. A favorite haunt for noble ladies to shop for jewelry, fabrics, or enjoy performances at the tea houses. Growing more anxious, the princess pulled me onto the carriage and raced off. "We can't let anyone else steal physician Li away." Xia Qian, how could he hide his illness from the physician like this? Keeping such a secret for decades was exhausting. Not only did Xia Qian live with shame, but the princess spent her days in constant fear. But now, that was all about to change. As soon as our carriage reached the alley in the southern district, we heard a sharp, ringing voice rise above the crowd. "Concubine. I'm the physician invited by the prince's residence. The heir, Xia Qian. He's a eunuch, he can't be a man. If you don't believe me, just go ask at the prince's residence. And Lin Jingyu. She's still a virgin after marriage, can't you see? How could a virtuous lady and a new bride be the same?" Lifting the carriage curtain, I saw Li Yuan standing in the midst of a crowd, face full of anger. The fact that Li Yuan was at the prince's residence was no secret. There were already rumors outside that she was Xia Qian's new concubine. The princess, upon hearing this, hadn't reacted, since the rumors had shifted to say I couldn't take the pressure and finally agreed to accept a concubine. She'd been more than pleased. Who would have thought the stone would be dropped squarely on her own foot? Li Yuan, arrogant and fierce, only needed a little nudge from my people at the right time. Behind me, the princess went stiff as if something was choking her. A moment later, she couldn't catch her breath and fainted on the spot. In just a few short days, the whole capital now knew Xia Qian was not a real man. Li Yuan didn't even think she'd done anything wrong. "What are you all so angry for? Is it because I told the truth? Let me tell you, I, Li Yuan, am not like Lin Jingyu, foolish enough to let everyone dump their filth on my head for the sake of love. As for being a concubine for Xia Qian, he's not even a man, how could he be worthy?" The princess, barely awake, nearly fainted again at those words. The prince himself fell ill from rage, wouldn't see anyone, and wanted nothing to do with Xia Qian. It was utter disgrace, beyond all measure. Yet, even with Li Yuan causing such an uproar, the prince's household couldn't blame her. They even had to beg her to return and continue treating Xia Qian. Xia Qian couldn't take it anymore. He hid in his room, refusing to come out. "Please, just let me be. I'm not a man, I don't deserve to live. Jingyu, let's divorce, please, I'm begging you." He couldn't even handle a few days of gossip, when I'd endured years of it. And when I once begged him to let me die, how did he answer? He never let me go, so why should I let him off so easily? Don't say such foolish things. To have a physician from Medicine King Valley treat you is your good fortune. Xia Qian, do you really want to be a cripple for life? I coldly ordered the servants to break down the door. Xia Qian curled up in the corner, eyes sunken, face blank with despair and numbness. The princess, mustering her strength, strode forward and slapped him hard. "Get up. If you want the whole prince's household to live in shame, you might as well die now. 10 months of pregnancy, half a lifetime of worry, all wasted on you. Mother." Xia Qian squeezed his eyes shut, chest heaving. Thinking of his mother's suffering, he finally gave in. Li Yuan was still angry, and didn't hold back at all during treatment, making Xia Qian cry out in pain almost every day. Luckily, she hadn't forgotten why she was there. After several days of torment, she began the real treatment. When the new medicine took effect, Xia Qian was overjoyed, his attitude changing completely. He began to genuinely respect her. Physicianly, I was wrong before. I noticed you seem to like white, so here are some bolts of moonlight silk as an apology. I hope you'll accept them. To be fair, when he wasn't miserable, Xia Qian had striking eyebrows and eyes, a gentle, refined manner. His light-colored robes only made him look taller and more elegant. Li Yuan, quirky as ever and used to doing as she pleased, was amused by his demeanor and felt a spark of interest herself. Oh, a few pieces of cloth aren't enough. Why don't you pick out some hairpins for me too, heir? With guilt gnawing at him, Xia Qian was always tense and uneasy in my presence. But Li Yuan's bold, passionate nature brought him an entirely different feeling. Gradually, the two began to develop feelings for each other, and his treatment progressed much more smoothly. When good news finally came, the princess let out a long sigh of relief. Our hardships are finally over. I smiled gently. Yes, the hardships are finally over. But gaining something only to lose it again, doesn't that hurt even more? The princess couldn't know what I was thinking. She happily began preparations for Xia Qian's birthday banquet. His illness couldn't be made public, but as long as Xia Qian stood proudly before everyone, the rumors would finally die down. Once I was pregnant, who would dare mention the past? Unfortunately, for all the princess's careful planning, she could never have guessed the way Xia Qian would prove himself to the world would cause such a scandal. On the day of the banquet, as usual, Xia Qian took his medicine. This one tastes a little odd today, he remarked. I waited nearby as he washed up and changed, replying calmly. Perhaps physician Li changed the prescription. For nearly a month now, Li Yuan had adjusted the formula more than 4 times, each with a different taste. Usually, she would tell Xia Qian beforehand, even making him describe each new flavor for her amusement. Xia Qian suspected nothing, thinking Li Yuan simply forgot to mention it, so he drank the bowl in one go and went out with me to greet the guests. But halfway there, his expression suddenly changed, and the tips of his ears flushed red. What's wrong? I paused to ask. He avoided my gaze, hurriedly looking elsewhere. It's nothing, just a little discomfort from the new medicine. I'll go find physician Li. You go on ahead. Without waiting for my reply, he turned and quickly walked away. Bai Chui watched him go, worry in her voice. Miss, will this really work? I tilted my head, smiling. Who knows? Let's hope we don't disappoint anyone. Xia Qian was almost cured, but the weight of all he owed left him drifting farther from me. That was fine, I'd never wanted to truly be husband and wife with him anyway. In today's medicine, I'd added a special ingredient. And in Li Yuan's courtyard, incense was already burning. In my last life, he'd given me a grand gift, this time, I had to return the favor. As for the outcome, that depended on Li Yuan. She never cared for convention. If she noticed something odd about the incense, she'd just go along with it, letting herself go. In the front hall, all the guests had arrived, but the star of the show, Xia Qian, was nowhere to be seen. The princess grew anxious, whispering. I hope nothing's happened. You, go have a look. Among the guests, besides close friends of the prince's household, there were a few who were only there for appearances. Some idle young men, hearing a bit of gossip from somewhere, started making a ruckus. What's wrong with the heir? Does he need help? Shall we go check? Maybe we can give the lady of the house a hand. The princess's face darkened, but she couldn't stop these busybodies from sticking their noses in where there was excitement. Unable to control it, she was dragged along with the crowd, and so was I, toward the inner courtyard. When we arrived, Xia Qian's personal servant sat outside, nearly tearing his hair out in worry. From inside, the soft, broken voice of a woman drifted out, stunning everyone. What is that? A young lady widened her eyes, hand over her mouth in shock. The servant, realizing what was about to happen, tried to run for help, but it was too late. I gathered my skirt and strode forward. Inside, Xia Qian and Li Yuan startled at the noise. Both were completely naked in bed, clothes scattered everywhere. Behind me, the crowd surged in like a tide. I gasped for breath, grabbed a vase, and hurled it at the bed. Xia Qian, you're impressive. Barely recovered, and you're already with another woman. Is your hunger that great? Should I congratulate you, today you finally became a real man. Even someone as unconcerned with the world's opinion as Li Yuan, when faced with so many staring eyes, screamed and pulled up the quilt to cover herself. Xia Qian, squashed next to her, looked like he'd been struck by lightning, white as a ghost. No, Jingyu, it's not what you think. Let me explain, Shut up. I glared at him, rage trembling in my voice. Everyone here has seen it with their own eyes. What more do you want to say? Or do you mean to deceive me again? Tears streamed down my face as I bit my lip, unwilling to speak further. Bai Chui came to steady me, crying and shouting. My lady bore all the slander these 5 years, keeping your secret even when the family scolded her. But what about you? How could you treat her this way? No, it's not like that. Really, it's not. Xia Qian fumbled for his robe, only for a nearby dandy to snatch it away. The young men around the bed burst out laughing. My father calls me a scoundrel, but who could outdo the heir in shamelessness? Sneaking around with a woman during your own birthday banquet, now that's living life. Don't be sad, madam. With a man like that, best to divorce quickly, see who dares speak against you. The ladies crowded around to comfort me. Putting themselves in my place, they all thought if it were them, tricked in their youth and forced into widowhood, they'd tear Xia Qian apart, too. Every face in the room brimmed with contempt, no one saw Xia Qian as an honorable man any longer. Seeing the moment was right, I lifted my head, my pain clear for all to see. Congratulations, heir. You found your beauty at last. In that case, let's divorce. You. Don't. Xia Qian's voice was hoarse, face red with shame and anger. But I gave him no chance to protest, only gathering my skirt and turning away. When I finally left the residence and climbed into the carriage, Bai Chui fumed. I can't believe the heir is really that kind of person. I leaned back against the soft cushions, a smile of relief on my lips. What kind of person he is doesn't matter anymore. From now on, he'll never have the chance to be anyone at all. There had never been a divorce case in the royal family. But the Prince of Ding was an outlying noble, and my father, after years of loyal service, went before the emperor in tears to plead my case. In the end, he succeeded. When we finally received the divorce decree, personally granted by the emperor, the princess was on her way with Xia Qian, carrying a branch of thorns to beg forgiveness. Still determined to save face, she had a servant carry the branch and intended to put on a pitiful display once inside our gates. But mother gave her no chance. She stood at the entrance for half an hour, then happily accepted the divorce letter, holding it high for all to see. Look closely, everyone. From this day on, our Jingyu has no further connection to the prince's household. Don't bother bringing branches and apologies, the Lin family has no place for an ungrateful, faithless son-in-law. Then she threw Xia Qian's pledge letter right back at them. Take this back. Promises unkept are worth nothing. I knew it all along, back then, he swore he'd never betrayed Jingyu, but it was all lies. Fitting, really, if the marriage itself was a deception, what truth could possibly come from the prince's household? Thanks to the band of gossiping young men, the news about Xia Qian and Li Yuan in that room had spread across the city in just an hour. Xia Qian's reputation as a gentleman had become nothing but a joke. He stood behind the princess, empty and lifeless, a puppet with its strings cut. All this, Bai Chui told me. Now finally divorced, I had no desire to see Xia Qian's face ever again. But the little maid still had her doubts. Isn't this just what they wanted? With you gone, the position of princess is open. Li Yuan's reputation might be bad, but with her skills, she'll marry into the prince's household sooner or later. I yawned lazily. Why worry? People from Medicine King Valley are arriving soon. All these days, father had quietly sent people to investigate around Medicine King Valley. Li Yuan was skilled in medicine and poison alike. The last time Xia Qian refused to cooperate and stormed out, she scattered poison, leaving the ladies who mocked her with rashes for half a month. I already knew her abilities from my previous life, so naturally, I wouldn't let anyone under father risk themselves. The best solution was still to invite someone from Medicine King Valley to take charge. While I enjoyed my peace at home, the prince's household had descended into chaos. Now, everyone knew Xia Qian was a thankless, treacherous wolf. He hid away in his courtyard, too ashamed to show his face. As for Li Yuan, angry about being seen naked, she nevertheless saw Xia Qian as a prince with decent looks and pressed to become the new princess herself. She didn't care about the gossip, she even threatened. I can cure Xia Qian, or cripple him with a single needle. Do as you will. Mother said the princess aged a decade in a single night, losing all her former arrogance. She wanted to see me, sending countless invitations and rare gifts, racking her brains for ways to salvage Xia Qian's reputation. But Xia Qian was beyond caring. After sulking for a while, he gave up completely, spending his days clinging to Li Yuan. When the spring festival came, I went out to enjoy the festivities, and unexpectedly ran into him. Xia Qian hung his head in guilt, tugging at Li Yuan's hand to leave. But Li Yuan was unbothered, raising her voice. It's all over, why hide? What, am I, Li Yuan, so unworthy you have to sneak around? Yuan, don't make a scene. Xia Qian muttered, jaw clenched as he endured the stares of the crowd. He'd been hiding in the prince's residence for weeks, where did he find the courage to show up today? Li Yuan still looked as bold as ever. What are you all staring at? Move along, unless you want to be poisoned by me. These days, thanks to the princess's arrangements, Li Yuan had met several powerful officials. But with her arrogant personality, she turned hostile whenever displeased, and spent most of her time tangled up with Xia Qian. Her reputation as a miracle physician had yet to spread widely. People believed she had the skill to treat Xia Qian, but her conduct was nothing like a healer's. I gave a faint, mocking smile. Physician Li, mind your words. A physician's duty is to act with compassion and a clear conscience. Your conduct is more like a villain from a novel than a disciple of Medicine King Valley. Xia Qian lowered his head even further. Li Yuan rolled her eyes. My practice is none of your business, and Medicine King Valley is not yours to talk about. Just then, a familiar voice sounded behind me. She's not worthy, what makes you think you are? Hearing that voice, Li Yuan's whole body went stiff. She stared in disbelief over my shoulder and stammered. Senior brother. A man in robes white as moonlight stepped out from the crowd, his voice cold as ice. Li Yuan, you were expelled from Medicine King Valley long ago. You became cruel, using living people to test your medicines. You were expelled 3 months ago. Our master spared you only because you were still young. Who would have thought you'd go on to use our sect's name for wrongdoing? Today I'm here to take you back to the valley to await punishment. Li Yuan's face instantly went pale, but she refused to admit her guilt. She shouted. I didn't do anything wrong. I clearly cured someone. Senior brother, you're a man, don't you understand the pain of not being a man? The crowd fell utterly silent, while Xia Qian's face grew even paler. Not being a man, those words again. He was both ashamed and furious, his face burning, but he could only move his lips, unable to defend himself. The man in white had no interest in arguing. He reached out, tapped several of Li Yuan's pressure points, and she went rigid, unable to move. The crowd didn't understand what had happened, but when they heard Li Yuan had used living people as test subjects, they were horrified. Moments later, applause erupted all around, praise for Medicine King Valley's sense of justice. As for Xia Qian, his reputation was already in ruins. Even if his illness was cured, so what? Who would dare let their precious daughter marry him now, just to become the capital's laughingstock? Xia Qian knew better than to anger Medicine King Valley. Faced with Li Yuan's pleading eyes, he could only clench his fists and No matter how wild or willful she was, a part of him couldn't help but feel soft toward her. But when he didn't move, Li Yuan began cursing him, calling him not a man, calling him useless, stabbing at his pride with every word. Someone in the crowd murmured, "So the heir likes that kind of woman. I think Miss Lin is better, gentle, respectful, devoted." Someone else agreed. "A daughter is fortunate not to marry into misfortune. Miss Lin suffered enough." Watching Xia Qian stumble and nearly collapse, I nodded in satisfaction and left with Bai Chui. I didn't care what happened to Li Yuan. The man in white once told me, years ago the sect leader took pity and let her go down the mountain to find her own way. Healing is a noble deed, but she got entangled with a married man and even resorted to poisoning, unforgivable in the eyes of her sect. Some of the human test subjects Li Yuan left behind at Medicine King Valley were just 5 or 6 years old. Seeing them suffer, the sect leader regretted ever letting her go so easily. "Miss Lin, rest assured. We will strip Li Yuan of her abilities and force her to atone for the rest of her life. As for Xia Qian, here is a medicine that can restore him as before. Whether to use it or not is up to you. Just remember, karma always comes around, never use it for evil." I accepted the vial and bowed in thanks. "I've already arranged an ending for Xia Qian, but thank you for your kindness." After all the trouble he'd caused, the prince had finally given up on this son for good. That night, Xia Qian left the city on horseback, hoping to hide out at a country estate and escape the storm of gossip. He was still talented. If fate allowed, he might have risen again someday. But the heavens seemed set against him. That night, heavy rain fell. Xia Qian's party was ambushed by bandits on the road. They were outnumbered. He was stabbed several times. By morning, the rain had washed away all traces. The bandits vanished, and no one in the prince's household knew where to search. The wounds struck in sensitive places. Even with the best physicians summoned that night, he could not be saved. I trusted my father's way of handling things. A single cut could have given Xia Qian a post in the palace. But this time, not even the gods could bring him back. Xia Qian was utterly ruined, consumed by thoughts of death, but the princess would not let him go. I heard he was tied up, locked in the courtyard, and had to be hand-fed every meal. He begged the princess to end his life, but what mother could ever go that far? She knew he was living worse than death, but forced him to keep dragging himself through the days. Bai Chui came running in, beaming. "This time he's not just called a eunuch, he's truly been castrated. They say the princess cried herself blind. Serves them right." I lay on the couch, leafing through a book, and replied calmly. "A proper lady shouldn't be so gleeful. Who'll dare marry you someday?" Bai Chui pouted. "What's so great about marriage? I'd rather stay with you forever, good food, good clothes. Isn't that better?" I laughed, tapping her forehead with my finger. Not all men in the world are like Xia Qian. Don't let one bad apple sour you on the rest." Bai Chui rubbed her forehead, muttering. "Will you ever marry again, then?" I blinked and smiled brightly. "If I meet someone suitable, with a good heart, why not? Besides, a fickle man like that, don't you think I could handle him? And I still have that vial from Medicine King Valley." The end.